Hi, this is David White from Sportsman's Emporium, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the first good hatch of the year that's on the trout streams right now. You know, coming into this week of March 26th, what we're getting into, we're going to see some warm weather coming into this weekend. And over the next couple of weeks, we're going to start seeing some good blue-winged olive hatches on the streams. You know, really, there's been some bugs hatching, the winter blackstone and all that, and the early stones, but they're not really prolific hatches to get trout rising to them. You know, the winter stone is still fished best with soft tackles and nymph flies, but the blue-winged olive is really the first significant mayfly hatch of the year. This time of year, they're going to hatch between a range of size 16 and size 22. Depending on, you know, the time of day, the stream, the location, it can vary. So if you're going to match this hatch, it pays off to have a few different sizes in your box. The biggest fly would be a 16, and probably the smallest you would need would be about a 20. I like to get right in the middle of that and start with the size 18. You know, basically, I brought 3 flies out here to talk about, and that are really the color and what we're looking for with blue-winged olive. First will be the nymph phase, and I brought a little ultra hare's ear to show you in the olive color. You know, any olive nymph in a 16, 18, or 20 is a pretty good productive nymph right now with these bugs getting ready to hatch. I like the olive color, ultra hare's ear with the bead head. I think that does good. This one here that I got is a size 18. It's a great size for almost any stream in our area, and this is good to fish subsurface if you're not seeing a hatch, but you know it's about that time. This is a good thing to fish throughout the day. While the bugs are starting to hatch, once you see them flying up off the water, you see fish rising to them, you know, there's 2 different ways you can go. There's a blue-winged olive emerger pattern, and this one here is a parachute variety. It's tied on a scud hook with a little tail, and this is to basically imitate the emerging insect that swims just under the surface. So this right here is meant to float just under the surface film of the water, and this is kind of meant to imitate the insect while it's hatching. Sometimes you'll see them, that's what they're keying in on. A lot of times if you see trout rising to bugs, if they're making big splashes on the water and it seems like they're coming out of the water, a lot of times they're taking these emergers and the bugs are swimming up to the surface, and before they get to the surface, the trout grabs them. Well, that momentum carries them and splashes the surface. Believe it or not, when the bug is already on the surface and in its full dry fly dun mode, which is, this is a size 18 blue-winged olive dun, the trout have a tendency to sip them a little bit different. When they're hitting emergers, you'll oftentimes see splashes on the surface, and you'll see their backs roll over. When they're sipping the dry flies, the full adults, a lot of times you'll just see a little sip on the surface and you'll see the little ring. They hit these a little more subtly because they hit them after they're riding on the surface film. So that's a little different. With this time of year, if you're wondering what's out there, you're wanting to catch some fish, you know, in particular trout, especially wild trout, which are really keyed in on these bugs because they've been in the stream for a long time and they totally have to rely on bugs and bait fish to make a living. They're really going to be keying in on these BWOs over the next 2 or 3 weeks. And then more insects will start to hatch. But right now, if you're wondering about the mayflies, I would stick with your size 18 blue-winged olives.